Welcome, guys, to the first 11 out of 10 podcast. We're bringing you really cool people doing really cool stuff in real estate. We got Zachary Kepes here. Zachary, absolute legend. You've done what, like 4,000 deals or something?
Lost count.
We've done lots of content together. If you haven't seen on YouTube, check it out. We'll link it up here. We got Jacob Blank, one of the gangsters in the wholesale space. Also have an awesome interview with you. We'll post that as well if you guys want to dive deeper with Jacob. And we got one of the top buyers and one of the top wholesalers here in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona to kick it. We like to keep things casual, have some fun. So cool thing about you guys is you guys know each other for a while, right? Like you wholesaled your first deal ever.
First deal.
To Zach. Okay, we got to hear that story.
Yeah, so first deal, been trying to wholesale for like 6 months. I get a deal.
How old were you at this?
I was 16. 16 when I started.
Damn.
First deal. After 6 months, I get it signed. I'm so excited. And I walk him through the property and he points out.
Santan deal?
No, it's Gilbert on a golf course. Remember? Or
I remember I thought it was Santan. It was definitely East Valley and had all these foundational issues.
Yeah. So
your belt was wrapped around 3 times. I think you're weighing about 83 pounds.
Little skinny kid.
Yeah.
Nervous.
Very nervous.
Yeah. And we go there and you start pointing out, look at this, look at these cracks. I'm like, oh, that's the tree. So I already had the sales skills going because I was trying to persuade you. But little did I know, I mean, you've been around the block in real estate for a long time, that it wasn't the roots of the tree. So you pointed out all the foundation issues, deal falls apart, 6 months in, that's disappointing. But I don't get discouraged. I wake up the next day, keep going. Chase down the deal.
Back up real fast. In that deal, we walked in the garage. It was literally split in like 100 different cracks. I walk in the living room. I'm tripping because the floor is like out of control.
It had issues.
And you said, and I have a photographic memory. It's no big deal. It's about 10,000. I spoke to a structural engineer. It's only 10 grand for full remediation. I go, Jacob, you're about 100,000 for the full no. I spoke to the engineer. It's only 10. I said, good luck, buddy. Go back to high school and have a good day.
Before we continue, what were you, when you rolled up and you see Jacob there, a 16-year-old, what was going through your mind? Did you know who Jacob was part of this?
I spoke to him on the phone. I respect the deal. I don't care who brings it. I bought deals from many young entrepreneurs. I don't care if you're 10 years old or 100 years old.
If you have the youngest person ever, right?
He was for sure the youngest I probably met in person.
Respect.
I think you were with your mentor at the time, potentially, right? Yeah. And so it gave a little more credibility. But at the end of the day, right, like the proof is if you're a young entrepreneur out there, male, female, it doesn't matter. The opportunity is the contract. You get the deal signed up. I don't care who you are. 10 years old. A deal is a deal. Let's do business. So I respected the fact he's out there doing business.
Yep.
Love it.
And the thing with that deal too, the All-In guys, their company was working that deal and I managed to lock it up before. Yeah.
Damn.
So I got the deal.
Shout out to Carlos and Sal.
Yeah. So snagged the deal, but then it falls apart. I got to go cancel the deal or price drop. Right. So I go for the price drop. They pull out the bid. They already had a structural engineer come out, but they didn't tell me. They're like, well, it's as is, but here's the bid that the numbers don't make any sense. And I'm like, so I canceled the deal. Disappointed because.
So they had a bid from a contractor and that bid is like way higher.
And they were keeping it under the table. They didn't want me to find out, right?
They're closer to what
it was
Zach
exactly what I conveyed to you.
And then I pointed out to them and they're like, okay, we know it's bad, but your contract says as is, so you still need to buy the deal. And I'm like, no.
You had an inspection.
Canceled the deal. And then, that's very disappointing after 6 months of trying to wholesale. Like, some people get their deal quick. I'm glad I didn't, because getting your deal in like a month, that'll ruin you because this game is not easy. So I'm glad it took me this long. But thank God I'm, not one to give up. I get up the next day and keep getting after it. 2 months later, I get a deal across the street from Horizon, just down the street from here on Greenway, right there.
I remember.
And it's a great deal on Waltan Lane, Scottsdale house. I locked it up for 400, sold it to you for 430, got resold a bit.
I heard there was a nice stack on that deal. How many daisy chains were on that deal?
There was daisies.
Let's back up a little bit. So this is interesting. Every deal I commit to, I always perform, doesn't matter. But sometimes, if I have a deal locked up or I'm buying in excess of that month, I have 10 or 15 deals. I have the ability, if I want, I'll move it for $5,000 or $10,000. I happen to have lunch with Templeton. He's like, hey, you have any deals? I'm like, actually, just bought one 5 minutes ago. You want? I think I marked it up 10 grand or something. He's like, I'll take it. I go, whoa, slow down. I want you to drive it. Like, my name's on this. I need you to perform. He's like, I'm good. I said, okay, fine, no problem. And then he sold it and somebody else sold it. And then I remember title calls and said, we can't do a deal of 5 assignments. I still closed the deal. Do you remember?
Yeah.
The title's like, I'm not doing 5 assignments in insurance. No problem. I performed. I closed on it.
See, I didn't even know that you closed. I thought they allowed there was 9 assignments.
There was
close on it.
Absolutely. And if I commit to a deal, I always close. I'm not relying or contingently buying to hope to make 5 or 10 grand. It's just that I had an abundance of opportunities. And that was the deal.
Which at the time, I was like, damn, you resold it. And I was upset.
He was so pissed.
But I wasn't business minded.
Right.
I wasn't
How could
business
you do
minded.
that to me? You made 10 grand? That's so rude.
Now I know it's all about the deal. It's it's whatever the acquisition. I locked up a deal and then there's going to be 30 different opportunities with it. Whether it goes to him, whether I flip it, whether I hold it, whether I assign it. Like, you just got to find the deal and find the spread. That's the business we're in. So it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. But I didn't know this at the time. So I was like, damn, dude. But no. But
he literally calls me, Zach, you can't do this. This is not right. I said, Jacob, you got yours. Okay, here's yours. I got mine. My little piece over here. Have a good day.
Yeah,
move on. 100%. Have a good night.
And, like, I learned a lot from that, which was great. And, it's my lack of knowledge at the beginning. I didn't maximize on the deal, and that's all good. But craziest thing ever, guess who closed on it? The final one. This kid from high school, which I'm not really friends with. No, his parents closed on it. So I'm just hanging out, going out on the weekend. I'm at this kid's house. He's like, did you know what? My parents were the ones on your first deal that actually closed on it. They were the final one. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And the craziest thing is the universe is crazy because the amount of things on that deal that just lined up perfectly, it's just crazy because this relationship is like my number one relationship and it was my number one deal. Yeah. And so just the way things align, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, I made $30,000 at
not bad
at 17 years old
on one deal.
Life changing.
We signed the deal in a van. I gave you one of my hats. We shook hands. You were still
so
92
excited.
Pounds at the time. You've evolved. I've
evolved, and dude, what a great deal! Really, what a great deal.
Fun, but a good learning lesson, right?
Yeah. And we've done probably 40, 50 deals now since.
Who knows?
Because you're the number one buyer.
Well, you know why? It's because when he says he's going to buy, he buys. Like, imagine if the title called back and was like, hey, I'm not closing on this. And a lot of buyers don't have the funds to close. And they back up and boom, your first deal could have gotten blown
that's
up.
One of the things that new wholesalers screw up on. They only value the dollar, not the person, not the buyer, not the relationship, not the who's actually going to perform. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I could try to wait and try to make a few $1,000s more, but then I run out of my contract time, seller's upset, deal falls apart when I had you ready to go the whole time. Also, something when you're a new wholesaler, guys like this guy that's a shark that knows what he's doing, they're gonna be straightforward with you. Either sell it to me or, dude, screw off, I
don't like to be referred to as a shark. I'm just a straightforward businessman, for the record.
Every guy in town that buys a lot of deals, Templeton, Jared, guys that buy a lot of deals, you give them a price, and if they say yes, but then you're like, wait a minute, they're going to get upset at you. So you need to maneuver properly. You don't want to burn relationships, and you need to value the buyer, not just the dollar, because your deal could fall apart if you screw around.
100%. Great insights there. It's fun too, having you guys here today and knowing that this goes back. What I love about you, Zach, is you're out there, everyone in this town. I had my designer over here the other day. So you knew her. Yep. We went up to the rooftop before we started filming.
Knew that
One of your triathlon buddies was here.
Adam.
Everyone knows Zach. You're out there driving around doing deals. We were talking about this before. Guys like Jacob and I, we're behind the computer a lot, right? But you're out. One of the things I like about the way you run your business is complete opposite. How much time do you spend per day behind the computer?
Not much. I mean, maybe 5% of my day, if that.
95, what time of day, 96%. Too? You're running deals at 8 p.m. at night. Because you're out doing stuff in real life.
To me, money, look, it's everyone's got their business model, and I respect that, right? I'm a solopreneur. I believe, and I had this epiphany the other day. I'm walking my dogs. We talked about it briefly before this. I said, let's assume you eliminate TikTok, right? That could go away. Instagram, Facebook. Well, what's your value? The value is in the relationships. To me, it's that street. It's the belly to belly. It's the face to face. It's the shaking of the hands. Yeah. I'm an old school kind of guy. Like, I like writing the checks. I like meeting people. I like the energy. So, and that's who I am. That's how I run my business, from the ground floor, belly to belly, sweating with the guys and getting it done.
Yeah. That's how you dominate a market too. Like, you're the guy to go to in this market, and everybody knows that. And I was thinking about this the other day before this podcast too. Like, what is the epitome of movement and action? Like, people are so like, they just don't make anything happen. And if you want to make money, you got to like literally move shit. You got to make it happen. And you're the epitome of that. You get out there and you find opportunities, you chase them down, and you can do it behind a desk, but you really got to be getting after it. And that's what people don't realize. So if they could take a page out of your book, it's just like, make stuff happen, opportunities, show up, meet people, find what's next.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this game is not, playing for 20s. We're talking about playing for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. People want to be comfortable with you. They want to look you in the eye. They want to know who they're dealing with. It's not like, hey, let's go play poker for $100. This, you could do that online. But we're playing with serious dollars. This isn't just fake Monopoly. This is real Monopoly with real big money. People want to be comfortable with you. They're willing to leave a few dollars on the table to sleep at night, so they're not so concerned about, like you say, is the deal going to close? I don't even know the end user. Do they even have the money? Are they just posturing to find another person to assign it to make $5,000?
I'm in that position right now. Because I'm doing nationwide wholesaling with online digital ads now, which most of the industry has kind of shifted towards, especially in this market. I have a deal sold right now where I'm going to make $35,000. It's in Philadelphia, but this buyer, I've never talked, like, I don't know him. And over the phone, he sounds like super weak and skeptical. So I'm like, what is he on, right? Like, is this guy the real deal? And so I'm waiting for $35,000 to come into my bank account, but it's 50-50. Where if I had the deal sold to you, it's 100%.
You already moved on to the next deal.
Even if it was 25 rather than 35, I get to sleep easy at night knowing on the 15th of this month, money's going to come in because you're going to perform.
But there's things that you can do to mitigate that risk, right? You could pre-qualify that buyer. Did they send you proof of funds? Have you FaceTime the buyer? Do you have any other references? Have you tracked any other deals he or she has bought? That's what I would do if I'm
So with this guy, proof of funds, first off, he sends me a letter, and anybody can get a letter.
Anyone can write the letter.
Anyone can get a letter. You can go online to a hard money lender. They'll give you one at the click of a button, right? So this guy, I'm like, that's not going to work. So he's got to send me his bank account. He didn't have all the money. He had he's like 10 grand short. But he's like, I'm getting a loan. So I'm like, guy's got
Did
6
he deposit
figures
the
in his
earnest
account.
money?
Yes.
How much did he put in?
$5,000. Always got to try to get $5,000
minimum. And how much is the deal?
The deal is like 130,000.
$5,000 on 130.
And he had 110,000 in his account. So I'm like, this guy's got 6 figures in his account.
Assuming that's a real account that he showed you.
Yeah.
Well, why would he put up $5,000 if he wasn't going to perform?
Right. So there we go. And it's a good deal. We'll see what happens.
I experienced this a lot when I came here in November. So last year, you guys know this, but if you guys watch this, you don't know the backstory. I got a big offer on my company. And I was calculating, okay, if I sell the company, I turned down the offer, but I was like, if I did accept the offer and I pay capital gains tax, I think capital gains tax right now is around like 20-something percent, 22%. Well, that's a big, hefty tax bill. If I move to Puerto Rico, I can avoid the capital gains because Puerto Rico has 0 capital gains and only 4% income tax. So I moved to Puerto Rico. I don't know anyone in Puerto Rico except for Jerry Norton. So Jerry Norton, we kicked it a lot. We're filming a ton of content, having a good time. Other than that, I don't know anyone in Puerto Rico. So October, we had a big month. I think we did about just over $1 million in closed opportunities, new business at InvestorLift. The next month, I was getting a little stir crazy on the island. You really call it island fever. I call up Zach. I'm like, hey, Zach, what are you doing in November? Oh, you know who it was? Casey invited me to the JP Morgan Private Wealth event.
No, I introduced you to Casey when you came out here. We had dinner at City Hall. She goes, I like this guy. I'm doing this private event and you got to come out. And you're like, I'm committed.
I said, I'm going to be there. And she was surprised when I came. I'm like, hey, if I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there.
That was good quality. Yeah.
So I was also thinking about filming a bunch of podcast episodes and all that. So I'm like, you know what? I'll just kick it in Scottsdale for a month. Crashed on. I was like, hey, bro, can I crash on your couch? She's like, bro, have you seen my place? I got bedrooms everywhere.
Easy.
So I crashed at Zach's place for a month. And in that month, I'm not doing any sales. I'm not going to any events. I went over to like someone's birthday party, you know, like I think it was Jesse Burrell's birthday party. And like you walk in, it's the who's who of real estate.
Yeah.
You know, like all the biggest players in town. You were there. Cody's there. Carlos is there. Like everyone's there. Went around to some of the offices. Wasn't selling anything. Wasn't trying to like really do anything sales related. I came back. I looked at my dashboard. We're at 1.7 million. Literally 7% more. So I went to the sales team. I'm like, hey, you guys want to make more money? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, we're moving to Scottsdale because that's where the connections are. That's where all the big movers and shakers in this industry, they're all here in this one town. And it just shows how like relationships are so important. Because now I have a conversation with Carlos, and Carlos is like, hey, I just signed up with this student yesterday. Dude, he needs you. Let me give you his number. I'll text you an intro right now. Boom, another sale. And that's happening every day, multiple
because you're
times a
top
day.
of mind, just like we're talking about before. Like you can only do so much behind the scenes. The relationships are much weaker when you're face to face and you have that energy and the likability. Good things transpire. It's not magic.
I don't know if I wasn't here, that my personal brand and how I got my name out in real estate, I don't think it would have happened the same way that it has by being in town here. Like this is the place to be if you're in this industry by far. So I think the move was key for InvestorLift's growth, 100%.
I can't wait to see what we do here in the year, next year ahead. We're going to be the Red Bull of real estate investing. Just wait. This is episode 1 of many episodes coming your way. All right, so let's talk about a bigger context. A lot is going on in the real estate market, right? Last year, a lot of people got kicked in the teeth, right? Like Q1 was really tough, especially for wholesalers. With buyers, buyer activity was at its lowest point in history, other than during the COVID lockdowns. But only during the COVID, it was only like a 2-month period.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But Q1 last year was tough. And I told my whole theory was that the golden age of wholesaling is coming, because I think you got this big macroeconomic cycle where you have a lot of consumer credit. Like when inflation is ripping at a higher rate than incomes are increasing, do people decrease their standard of living, or do they borrow more money? They borrow more money, right? And a lot of that is short-term debt, and a lot of people are not going to be able to continue to max out their freaking credit cards and pay their auto loans. So where do they have money? They have equity in their house, right? Because we've created so much money supply, like 24%. Michael Burry posted the other day a tweet. We should pull that up, by the way. Michael Burry's tweet. I think it's 24% of all the money supply was created since 2020. Absolutely insane.
That's insane.
So their housing prices are up. And now they have a bunch of equity in their house. My hypothesis is that this year, a lot of people are going to break that piggy bank, pull the equity out of their houses to go cover their short-term debt obligations. And we're starting to see it in the data on InvestorLift. Leads are up. But what is also up is buyer activity. So we had a record last month, 6,200 houses posted on InvestorLift. We broke $1 billion in assignment fees earned for our customers. Thanks for the video, by the way. Appreciate it.
That was amazing. And happy birthday. You had a big birthday. Patrick Ewing and for congrats. You. Not to disclose how old you are. Should be the Michael Jordan, but we'll go Patrick Ewing.
So I'm seeing deals are coming back, and also I'm seeing a lot of buyer activity coming back. I'm curious. So Zach, from a buyer's perspective, how do you think this? Oh, by the way, I got some more news that we could throw in to layer on this. I'm curious to hear if you guys agree with this. So Inman just published today, a Blackstone president. He says today, now it's time for real estate investors to pounce. I'll read a little bit here.
No, he called me. He's like, Zach, what are you feeling? What are you seeing on the ground floor in Arizona? I was like, bro, I'm a little busy right now buying, but I'll call you later. So then he published the article.
Classic Zach. All right, so he said, President of Blackstone believes real estate prices have bottomed out and it's time for investors to jump in before the recovery is on. John Gray, president of the $1 trillion asset management firm, said in a recent interview with Bloomberg that investors exercising too much caution right now risk missing out on opportunities, as he believes real estate prices will soon be boosted by interest rates cuts coming later this year. Now is a good time before rates come down to move, Gray said. Perception is so negative. The headlines are negative. yet the value decline has occurred. Gray described the current marketing as a bottoming period that should inspire investors to get moving on new purchases, and that investors who move fast stand to be rewarded once prices recover. All right, Zach, you're a buyer. Do you agree, disagree? What's your take on Blackstone CEO?
Yeah, listen, I agree across the board. I don't try and time any market, right? Warren Buffett, Peter Lynch, you don't try and, look, you can't buy at the bottom and sell at the top. You want just a good chunk in the middle. So my philosophy is always dollar cost average. I've been consistently buying the numbers on InvestorLift. You see, during COVID, pessimism, optimism, it doesn't matter. I'm consistently buying as long as you're buying diligently and you're buying with equity. I like to say this. If you buy an asset and you say to yourself, how much does your net worth change if you acquire that deal and it goes up by a certain percentage, it's a good deal. If you buy the deal and nothing happens, probably don't buy the deal. And if you buy the deal and you lose some sort of, equity per se, you're doing some sort of seller finance or creative finance and you're underwater, I personally don't buy those deals. I buy based on equity. No matter what, every toilet has a seat. And I think you consistently buy value. And over time, and you got a lot of time horizon. And what are you, 21?
Yeah.
You're almost
got a lot
up
of
to
time.
Michael Jordan. You got a lot of time. You should be buying everything instead of wholesaling. We could talk about that.
Let's talk about that next.
But I'm a buyer consistently. I'm consistently buying all the time. In fact, last year, even this year, I barely sold anything. I continue to buy and hold. My rental rates have increased. I provide a good product. So I'm always cautiously optimistic, but mostly bullish, just like the CEO, and continue to buy and acquire. That's my philosophy.
You bought a lot last month and this month. How many did you do in the last month or so? How many deals?
I have 30 deals in escrow right now.
30 deals in
30
escrow.
deals.
Absolutely incredible. So you're pedals to the metal.
I'm full speed, and that's an anomaly month. In fairness, you caught me at an amazing, 60-day period. But on average, I like to buy 8 to 10 a month consistently and mostly hold them. My rental rates, my crews, keep them busy and just put the pedal to the metal. I mean, we're in Arizona. Everyone's got a different marketplace and mindset, but we got so much population growth, economics, the election. I believe that interest rates are going to go down, but it doesn't matter to me. I don't predicate it based on interest rates or the 6 month or 12 months. I still have a long time horizon, so I'm not concerned. I'm buying value and I'm buying equity.
Love it. Jacob, what do you see on the wholesaler side? Because you're talking to buyers all day long.
Yeah. I mean, people are getting a little bit more active, but people are also super scared still. And people aren't spending money, unless they are just, the godfather of what's going on.
Easy. Well, I don't spend money on watches that you're talking about. I buy assets. I buy appreciating
and you buy
assets.
You gotta have equity.
Easy.
But
Okay.
I think people are a little scared still, but I'm super optimistic. I think rates are going to get cut. I think that's going to be great. Also, election year, it's going to be good. I mean, things are going to shift going into next
Is this
year.
your first voting year?
No.
I was just saying I didn't know. Okay.
But things are going to shift. And I think I'm going to triple what I'm worth in the next 2 to 3 years based on what's going to transpire. But am I concerned on what happens after the next 2 to 3 years in America? Yeah.
Why are you concerned?
I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be another run and I'm going to capitalize because I'm positioned well. And that's another thing. Like, right now, it might be like you can't speculate. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the main thing that you got to focus on is like making sure you have a great foundation. So then when opportunity arises, you're ready to run. And so you got to have the right team. Keep your costs down so you're not bleeding money if you have a slow month, but make sure you have the infrastructure in place because nobody can time this stuff. In the next minute, it could be the gold rush again, like the hedge fund craze was, and then money's printing left and right. And so you need to just be ready. And that's the main thing. So I'm going to be ready and I'm optimistic. And and then the buying thing, I'm young, right? So I plan on just getting into my personal residence this year, but buying a great deal at like 700 that's worth like 1.2. And if I do that, you talk about the equity, what does it add to your net worth?
Yeah.
This year, I only have to do my one personal residence deal and I'm going to add 300,000 in equity to my net worth.
Yeah.
Boom. I just made 300 grand doing one deal. And then with all the other wholesaling and all my other businesses that I'm running, the year's already over. I just have to do one deal, let all my other businesses run autopilot, and good year for me. So,
but let's play devil's advocate for a second. I mean, you just talk about buying one deal. why do you want to even sell me deals? You're at a young age. You can incur risk. You're bullish for the next couple of years. Why would you want to wholesale deals? Why not just retain some of these amazing deals and cherry pick certain deals to buy in a rental portfolio?
This is a great conversation because my whole thing is like I have a deal right now off the 51 on 35th Street.
I looked at it. Not a good deal. I wouldn't call that a deal.
For a rental, I could pick it up and clean it up. And for a rental, I could pick it up. You know, not a great deal, but I could add it to my portfolio. It wouldn't be a terrible move. It'd be decent asset to add. I'd have equity and it might not, but I'm going to cash flow, you know, a few $100 a month. And, you know, it takes so long to build up your cash flow where you're really rolling in it. You know, like I don't have 200 some houses, right? And that's a long play. And unfortunately, young guys like me, we don't think that far ahead.
We're like,
but you should be thinking. But if you start thinking one brick, 120 at a time, you can get there.
But I'm also blessed because I think a lot further than my peers because I wouldn't be here today if I thought super short term because my whole game of I've been doing this for 5 years now. It's been a long play, been looking at the future, and I didn't get paid right away. It took me 8 months to get my first deal. So I do think further into the future, but I don't know that $300 a month on a house is my ideal thing. Also, because the digital money, right? InvestorLift, software, making money online. Making money online, like I was telling you, I'm printing money on autopilot every month from
until
the
that
social.
Potentially goes. I mean, I'm just saying, I want to mitigate risk and diversify.
So I'm like interested in software. I'm interested in subscription-based businesses online, and then wholesale. You know, and then great deals. I'll buy them. I'll keep them. Great deal. My personal residence. I'll keep it. That gets my foot in the door on my first property I close on, my first loan, my first refi. Now I'm learning, right? Hopefully you're going to help me figure all that out. I'm happy to help
you. But this is what I want to say again too. You say, so I buy this deal on 35th. You bring in $200 or $300 a month. But that is short-sighted because what you're doing is you're mitigating paying that we talk about taxes and the equity and what does it do to net worth. If you buy that deal, let's say you bring in a couple $100 a month. I don't look at it the per 100 per month, even if you broke even in cash flow, but you locked in $30,000 or $40,000 in equity. That increases your net worth $30,000 or $40,000 by taking down one deal. You have the ability to refinance that deal,
and then with me being
and you get a
optimistic
long-term capital
about
gain.
The future, I'm gonna get $100,000 in equity over the next couple of years with how I think the market's going to go.
So you should hold the deal.
It's not just the $200-300.
I think
I save on tax.
I think you're both right, but I'll tell you what I advise guys like Jacob.
I'm torn.
I always say, when you're young, get the money. Get the fucking money. And the fastest and easiest way to get the money is wholesaling. Because you can turn and burn a contract to make $35K like with a couple days work.
Yeah.
Right? Now, with rentals, you're not going to get payday on that until way down the road. Yeah. Right? It's cash flowing a couple $100 a month. Like, that's not moving the needle. But long term, that's going to set you up for the biggest wealth. Because the problem with wholesaling is when you're wholesaling, you know, it's very capital intensive, very marketing intensive, labor intensive. And as soon as you stop, you're kind of down to zero.
Yeah.
You know, versus if you build up a portfolio, you still have something. So I think the hybrid approach is, and I think the one guy that pulled this off better than anyone else was Nick Perry. You want to get yourself out of your wholesaling business, because I think the reason why a lot of young guys aren't buying stuff is they're subconsciously making a calculation that maybe they don't even realize that they're making. They're calculating their opportunity costs, because if Jacob takes on a rental, it's a couple $100 a month. But then his opportunity cost is the time it takes him to go like stabilize it and get a contractor and manage it. And it's a distraction from the core moneymaker that's printing, you know, a couple $100,000 a month. You're like, shit, do I really want to do this for a couple $100 a month? It's going to take me away from, you know, it might cost you $20,000 a month in opportunity cost to go buy one rental.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that doesn't pencil out. So I think when you're young, you get the money, build up a nice war chest, have some nice dry powder for when it's time to strike. Then what you got to do is you got to remove yourself from the business. So Nick did a great job of this. He had a sales guy that he moved up to COO, and then from COO, he moved him into the CEO position. Now Nick is down living in Mexico somewhere on the beach, and his CEO was running the whole thing for him. Last time I talked to him, his wholesaling business spun off. It was north of $650,000 that month.
Yeah, he did like 660.
Yeah, now he's got an ATM. So the wholesaling business should always be set up not as a real estate business, but as a marketing and sales company. that spins off, number one, opportunities, but number two, cash flow. And I think the mistake that people make is they don't remove themselves from the business. They get stuck. They're the micromanagers. They get stuck in the deal flow.
There's two people in this business that have done a great job at removing themselves. Nick Perry with Brandon, his COO, killer, and then Donovan Ruffin with Omar, great guy. It's really hard to find that guy. I'm on the hunt for that guy. If I could find that guy, he'd make a great living working for me, running my business. So I agree. I'm just torn, and I used to flip a lot of deals in town, but I would do like the lowest I made on a flip was like 40 grand. So I wasn't wasting my time, opportunity cost, unless it was a great deal. Now that I'm older, I got more money saved away, right? You need money to buy deals. You can't be broke and close on stuff.
No.
You got to have money. And so now those flips where I would make, 50 to 100 grand on the flip, I'd probably hold them, because there would be so much equity there right off the rip that it's super sweet. And then the tax benefits and then the growth going forward, it makes sense. So I'm not opposed to buying great deals.
Get some money and then start buying.
I'm not going to, if I'm going to make 100 grand assignment fee in town, I'd buy the deal and keep it.
100%.
It wouldn't be worth it to me anymore.
What you said, I think it's a hybrid approach, right? To a certain degree. And I think you leverage your connections. Like if you call me up and you're like, hey, Zach, I need to take this down. Can I use your contract or can I use your resources? And of course I would, because I'm going to say that, hey, I know that I'm getting the first look at your deals and I value that relationship. So I'm going to do everything I can at my cost, give you my guys, you pay them direct and save money. And that's what you should do, is leverage those relationships around you. You've created and cultivated these amazing relationships. Now it's time to reciprocate, right? Take advantage of it. Hey, Zach, I'm taking this down. Who do you got a fabricator, you got a painter, you got a demo guy.
And you've given me tons of guys.
And I do that to anybody who sells me deals. I will walk you through.
Your painter, Jesse, ran he ran like 4 flips for me. He ran the whole thing.
Wow.
And he's a painter. But the guys, because all your guys are so great that they figure it out. They help you out.
But point taken, right? Like, don't just be so short-sighted. Leverage these great relationships. It's not just these contracts. As a wholesaler, you're kind of in the driver's seat, because, right, like I don't eat unless you eat, because I'm not spending any money marketing, right? I don't have a big office. I don't have any overhead. So I rely on guys like you all day long, or InvestorLift, and you guys are our direct to sellers to bring me the opportunity. So of course I want to reciprocate. So capitalize on the relationships with guys like me in your market to reciprocate and give you those opportunities.
I get this question all the time by people that are like wanting to get into real estate. They're older. They want to buy deals, or they want to find deals. And they're like, well, why don't people just cut you out? Why don't they just go get the deals themselves? So my question to you is, why are you not doing direct to seller? Why are you doing only direct to wholesaler, or direct to realtor, or relationship based rather than finding them? And I'm curious, what's your take?
So I've done that before. When I first started out, I had the TV ads, I had the billboards, I've done all that stuff. And it requires $60,000, $100,000 a month in overhead and a team and inbound sales. And it's so much work. I'm blessed that right now we talk about the belly to belly and being in the field and the sweat equity and all that. That's what enabled me to get to a point where I don't have that sunk cost every single month. I'm not spending 100, I'm spending zero. I work out of my Tesla, I work out of my house. You've seen it. You spend a month with me.
We have a whole video, by the way. It's spending a day behind the scenes with Zach. We'll link that up here.
And so I'm blessed that I get enough opportunities and the margins are still good that I don't need to do it. If that dried up and I needed to pivot, I'm not fearful of doing it. I know there's great money in doing that, but I have no desire to have more people and a team and all that. I have enough contractors and designers and everyone else right now that I'm blessed.
And you talk about pivoting, it's about the skill set. So the real estate skill set, putting deals together is what you need to know. And then no matter, you could switch at any time. And like, even, all that overhead, it can become stressful, especially, the last year was kind of tough and
knocks a lot of
people out. It becomes stressful when you have $14,000 in payroll every month and everybody wants to get paid and you're not making any money. Like, we don't get Christmas. Where's my Christmas bonus? It doesn't happen. So, and then I'm also behind the desk every day. It's nice to get out in town face to face. And so, you're blessed with your model, but it's a double-edged sword, just like everything else, everything.
So to have these amazing relationships with wholesalers and these M buyers is great, because I get the hybrid approach, right? I love engaging with people. I love work. I've done this for so many years. I love working with sellers and closing the deal. And it's great to have the confidence from the wholesaler. Say, Zach, what's your price? I don't even own this yet, but what would you pay? Do you want to come with me to this appointment and interface with the sellers and give definity to a deal? So many people neglect that. If you have a solid relationship, then I'm not going to do an end run around you, or a good buyer will not do that. Leverage that, come out with them. It's so much fun. I mean, you celebrate. I'm all about celebrations and the nice dinners. That to me is the relation. That's what this is about. It's not just the money. It's these long-term relationships. It's building memories and having fun. We laughed about it. We remember the first deal and going out and signing in the van. 100%. At that point, we're going to pop some champagne, but I think we had to do some Crystal Light or something because you were, 17 years old. Let's pop the Crystal Light for you, baby.
Yeah, no, the relationships are so valuable, valuable, more than anything else, in this business. I couldn't think of one thing that's given me more value.
I just had a great idea. On InvestorLift, wouldn't it be really cool if there's an interface where you can interface with a FaceTime or a video chat through
a social media type of,
to really bring intimacy to the deal, because you don't know who you're dealing with.
We could do that through Twilio.
Wouldn't that be so cool? So it's like, okay, you want to buy this deal, but let's do a quick call together so we can verify, look each other in the eye. I think there'd be a greater closing ratio if someone can see each other face to face.
I love that.
You should integrate. That'd be interesting.
Guys, if you want that on InvestorLift, drop a comment below and I will add it.
Don't you want to see who you're doing business with? Feel the energy. Look them now like, hey, congratulations. You just made X amount of dollars. I made X amount of dollars. Let's celebrate virtually. Let's have virtual. All right, next time you fly in the market, we just met each other online. Let's go to dinner.
This would be really killer because you know what we have coming next month is the Buyer mobile app. You're hearing about it here first. The Buyer mobile app is coming out next month, and that is 100% something we could do on mobile.
Love that.
That'd be killer.
Yeah, make it more intimate.
Deal, click here. Boom, call.
Yep.
Well, that takes what you're doing in town, makes it a virtual nationwide type thing. Building, that expands relationships by far.
For sure.
And if the guy this buyer is from InvestorLift on that Philly deal I was talking about, if I could have got on FaceTime with him right away off InvestorLift, it would have sped up the process of getting ink on the deal, and I would have way more confidence in the buyer too.
I do think, Jacob, you should try to scoop up a few deals, and I'll tell you why. I think prices here in Arizona, well, specifically in Phoenix, Scottsdale, are going to start going up, up, up. Why? Because do you guys know about all the chip manufacturing and what's going on with all that?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So guys, if you're watching this, you don't know, Taiwan, there's a company called Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation, TSMC for short. They produce 99% of all the advanced chips in the world. And when COVID happened, all of a sudden they realized, oh shit, this is what happens when we don't have access to chips. Started getting them really, the US government really nervous, especially because China has stated, we are taking over Taiwan. This is a question of when, but they've publicly state, we will annex Taiwan. So what happens if China annexes Taiwan or bombs it and blows up all the freaking advanced semiconductor manufacturers like that? That's Armageddon. We have semiconductors in everything. My Tesla downstairs, I think has there's 60 in one car or some shit. The whole world economy would go to screeching. It would be like a COVID event.
Yeah, it'd be a halt
if those factories got blown up. Well, U.S. doesn't like that, so they passed a bill to plug, I believe it's $50 billion into developing advanced semiconductor manufacturing here in the United States.
Wow.
Now, which city in the United States has the most semiconductor manufacturing? Right here, Phoenix. Intel. Intel's been here for decades. I believe they're the number one employer in this entire city. The government just gave TSMC and another company literally billions of dollars of grants to go build the two biggest semiconductor manufacturing plants in the United States right up the road from here. Just one factory is 35,000 people, but then those 35,000 people, they're going to need to buy their groceries somewhere. They're going to need to go to restaurants.
Houses,
they're going to need,
of course,
houses built. They're going to need all this stuff. So there's going to be a huge influx. These are just the first two factories. They're going to continue to build factories here, and this is going to become the real Silicon Valley, where U.S. is actually building all their silicon. And what's interesting is, so if you look at the rate of population growth, in Arizona, there's this really interesting video. I think it's gone up 40% on average every decade. Crazy high. We'll double check that and post that in this video. But the problem that Arizona is facing is water. So they're looking at, basically, if you want to build a new development here in Phoenix, you got to go prove that you have water rights for the next 100 years to supply that development. Well, guess what? They just did a feasibility study and they found out that a lot of these permits that were going out actually are not going to meet the needs of these developments for the next 100 years. They're short on them. So what I heard is that they've frozen a lot of new development while they try to figure out what to do with the water situation.
I think that's all media driven. I spoke with some pretty high congressional people, and they say that they've done studies. They were looking at bringing canals in from Mexico and all that.
From Mexico, the Israeli company.
And so the reality is, I think a lot of it's media driven. It's not factual.
I heard
the
there's
studies
plenty
I've
of water.
heard, we've got more water than we did in 1950s. Just so you know, that's what I was told. Again, you're always going to get the flip going.
What is interesting is this video I was watching. They did show that water consumption of the city is actually lower than it was in 1980.
That's
exactly with way more population.
That's insane. Wow, that's crazy. Now, I like the aspect of using artificial turf and conservation.
Yeah, but with all those people coming to town and all that business with that, the
demand's going up.
Yeah,
demand's going up. Whether or not supply gets shrunk. If supply could get shrunk, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but demand is going up.
And so I should buy, and I should buy fast. That's why I'm trying to get the personal next 90 days. Gotta have.
I don't think there's I don't think the market's going crazy in 90 days. I think you'd be selective. But going back to let's look at the macroeconomics of any market, right? And I always say this: show me a better investment opportunity. Anyone can say, "Oh, crypto today, selling drugs, whatever." Real estate, where you can control it, you can see it, you can feel it, you can figure out multiple exit strategies, you can cross collateralize it, you can refinance it. Show me you come from Harvard background, right? People, you always keep it low key, Mr. Harvard, and really intelligent. Where'd you go to college?
No college for me.
So I'll speak over here.
Hard knocks.
So all right, so we're going over here to Harvard. Show me a better investment in today's market than real estate. Tell me.
Zero.
None.
There you go. Beautiful.
That's what I love. We control our own debt. We're the captains of our domain. That's the beautiful thing. We can buy crypto right now, and it could go down 30, 50, 100%. It could go up 100%. It's so volatile. It's crazy. Real estate, it's very predictable long term, right? It's there's volatility in everything, but at least we can control it. We could manipulate it, and that's the beauty of real estate.
I mean, I know guys that, I know guys that were all into crypto and it was great and they were worth a shit ton of money and then it's gone. So
that was like my marijuana stocks. It went up in smoke, no pun intended. I mean, just literally smoked that shit away.
I've put a decent amount of money into crypto. Now it's worth like $3,000 and I can't even get into my cold storage wallet. So kapoof, it's gone.
That's horrible.
Yeah. If you're going to do crypto, you got to do it right. You got to have your keys and don't lose your keys. And
I think I'll get in, but it makes me type in one letter at a time. And it takes like an hour to try my seed phrase every time. And I'm like, geez.
Damn, that's insane.
So you got to keep on trying new seed
phrases. And then I'm just getting
phrases.
so stressed. I'm like, there's only going to be like $3,000 in here. So I'm going to be disappointed regardless if I get into it or not. So I'm like, I give up.
Yeah, real estate is the place to be. Jacob, I'm super impressed by what you've done. How many deals did you wholesale last year?
Last year we did 76 deals.
76 deals.
That's really good.
Yeah.
How many do you think you'll do this year?
This year, probably a little bit less. I'm feeling like probably 50, 60, somewhere right in there.
What are your margins?
Our margins are better this year.
There you go.
Yeah, this year we're getting bigger assignment fees. My first deal I did this year was for $52,500. Yeah, in Florida.
Damn.
So,
great.
Yeah, and then I got that 35. So all our deals are like 25 at least lately. So
for anyone that is watching this, they're getting started. I think you're a big inspiration because I know, like, I look at our viewership stats and we got a lot of people that are like 18, 19 years old that are watching our channel and wanting to get into real estate, and they see a guy like you that is just a couple years older and has already done it. What advice can you give to people that are listening that are?
Love this. Here's my piece of advice. To be anything, you got to walk like the narrow path. Like literally what I've done is the opposite of the crowd. And everybody successful, they are literally the opposite of the crowd. Yeah. You look at them, everything they do, how they act, literally everything about them is pretty much the opposite of the crowd. So whatever everybody else is doing, you do the opposite, walk the narrow path, you're going to end up successful. But it's so hard to do that, like people just scroll all day on their phone and they go out and they waste their time. They don't capitalize. Like right now is a great time. There's so much knowledge on the internet to literally take over the world and become whatever you want to be. And that's what I did. I learned from YouTube. I literally found something that I was interested in and chased after it. And so if you have that in you. Some people, they wake up and they don't really care to turn into something. But if you have that in you, that drive, then all you got to do is do the opposite of the crowd. You're going to end up successful. And that's what I've done. I've sacrificed a lot of years too, sitting behind the desk to just make money. And like,
I see you got a couple gray hairs coming through already.
I'm turning gray. And what it was for me is like, you really have to cut out all the distractions and find your thing and focus on your thing for 3-4 years. And really like, don't go out, don't hang out with the people that are going downhill. Find your thing, only do that. You look up 3-4 years later, you're successful. Then the next part comes where the whole world tries to come take everything from you because you got something. Then you got to learn how to protect it and step away from the desk and try to become a man, which I'm trying to do. And that's the game. And so if you want to be successful, you're young, all it is doing the opposite of everybody else. It's very simple. People overcomplicate it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't overcomplicate it.
I keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Zach, what's your best advice if kids are watching this and they're just getting started? What's your best advice to guys just getting the game?
Yeah, I think that solid mindset, consistency. It's just like going to the gym, just like anything else. You don't just wake up and become rich overnight. You don't get ripped overnight or become great at runners. So you're an amazing athlete, and you haven't spoke about this publicly. I love hearing about your previous athletic attributes and whatnot. Whatever, it's all good. But greatness doesn't happen overnight. It's playing the long game. It's staying steady. It's not, getting deterred by little volatility and little actions and people trying to bring you down. You're right, in the wrong crowd. I've never been to seminars. I didn't have a real estate coach or anything else. I just had that burning desire to be successful and staying regimented and being consistent and persistent and building real relationships. I think that, like you say, I don't overcomplicate things. I don't know much about technology. I'm an old school guy. I shake hands, do what you say you're going to do, develop the reputation of being the best in your business. Do not become, diverted by, those shiny object syndromes and fancy no disrespect, boys, like the watches and the cars and all that stuff. I'm all about building assets, building that long-term stuff. I don't care what people think of me when I drove my Prius or my 20-year cars. Who cares? Play the long game. Someone who's going to love and respect you doesn't care about your watch or your house or your cars. Be humble about your stuff and just continue to thrive and drive and just create really good relationships with the people you're dealing with, from the tenants to the title people. Be real, be authentic to yourself. Don't try and be like these influencers and all that, like you say. Be unique, be authentic to yourself. People thrive on that. Be vulnerable and you will be successful. If you want it, there's an abundance of opportunity for everybody to be successful. There's a big piece of the pie and there's always a seat at my table.
And I totally agree with that too, with thinking long term. People with the social media stuff, they think it's going to happen overnight, and it's not.
No.
Like becoming something worth being is actually extremely challenging.
Yeah.
And so you got to really be dedicated and committed to it, because it's not going to be easy. You're going to get kicked in the teeth many times. We talk about the first deal that didn't work out. Like, that's a kick in the face. But you just got to get up and keep going. And that's just the most important thing.
I think the other thing too is just in terms of like expectation. People think, I'm going to get in real estate. I want to make my 100,000 rip, and look how big this assignment fee is. I'm not the guy that's chasing these home runs or triples or doubles. I'm a solid single kind of guy, and if it evolves into a double or triple or home run or grand slam, amazing. But I'm aiming for these singles. I'm aiming for these little wins. I'm not swinging for home runs. And I think that, my interactions with people, again, and treating them like family and really just adding value to them and being authentic and not trying to, steal equity from people and just being real. People respect that and they want to give you that opportunity.
And that's the compound effect. You don't need to be chasing the big rips. It can be the base hits. It all compounds, literally. And also with like the shiny stuff, like I'm still into it a bit, but like for the kids, 19, 18, the young cats out there trying to make it happen, like, just so you know, once you get all the money, it's not going to make you happy. It's not going to solve your...
You're going to have a bigger set of problems.
Yeah, totally. You're going to have way more problems to deal with. It's not going to solve the root of your issues. None of that. So know that going into it, so that way you don't end up like fucking like a degenerate and burn all your money because your whole life's collapsing on you because you thought that this was going to be the answer, but it's not. The answer is becoming somebody worth being the opposite of the crowd, and becoming successful. And it's not about the shiny things. It's about who you become through the process. That's where the value is.
Yeah.
So I'm curious for you, like you get to ask the good questions. You got, like, I used to work on Wall Street. We have access to the data and the tapes, and we call it SEC information, securities, exchange and commissions and stuff like that. You got kind of like an insider trading. You see who's got what deals. You probably see their contracts. What are you seeing out there? If you could leverage the knowledge you have from InvestorLift and go back in time,
let's drop some bombs.
Who do you become and what do you do based on the knowledge that you have?
Okay, so there's a question about the market, or is a question about...
About what do you do with
the
knowledge?
Do you become a Zach? Do you become a Jacob? Do you become a hybrid? What market do you penetrate? What do you see based on the information that's at your fingertips? And who's making the money on InvestorLift? That would be interesting.
This brings me into something that I was going to do at the beginning of the episode, and that was to give a shout out to the biggest assignment fee earned last week. And that was Angia Arcega. I don't know if I pronounced your last name correctly, but I know you. We were just hanging out in Texas a little while ago, based in Las Vegas. Now, she really needed this assignment fee. They were struggling. I remember last time I called her, she was like, they had a bunch of deals fall out, a really tough time. And she's like, just give me another 30 days or so, and I know I'm going to have this thing back up. I got some deals coming. Well, she just closed the deal, $135,000 assignment fee.
There you go.
That's incredible. Wow. $135,000 assignment fee.
What was the price of the contract?
I think it was $750,000 house.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest assignment fee I've done in town here.
Week. Yeah,
that's a great assignment.
Great assignment fee.
So, like, what other business can you make that much money on a deal? Just arbitraging a contract with no capital invested, with no, you don't really need that much construction expertise.
There's a few out there, but not ones where there's the knowledge out there about it.
But like, name another business that you could do that on a contract, assignment.
I mean, you could broker deals on other things, you know?
Like what?
Like, well, I know people are making decent rips off the jets just right here on the Scottsdale Air Park. Like, I have a buddy that he'll make
wholesaling jets.
Yeah, he'll make 10, 15 grand just brokering the deal, like wholesaling flights.
Wow.
So
interesting.
There's that. So there's got to be other ones out there. But the thing is, the knowledge that's out there in this industry, like anybody can do it. You know,
you should get the comments and say, what other businesses can you get assignments like that?
Yeah. Guys, drop in the comments if you know another business that you can assign contracts and or arbitrage. Drop them below. We'd love to hear if there's. I'm sure there's other businesses that are just like this. I know the wholesaling cars is a big thing. Like, there's a whole industry.
Yeah,
but they're not making $155 on, I moved my Ford
with
Taurus.
New car, I mean, with some cars, like my car, the Corvette that I got, like I could have wholesaled the deal basically and made 40 grand the day I bought it.
But how many do you have tied up? Does it has longevity? Is it consistent?
I could have probably done like 10 deals that year of that.
That's still pretty good.
So I think
with the right connection, you know,
if I was just getting started, I would wholesale. But I would take the same advice I'm giving Jacob, is I would go and I'd build up I'd spend 3 years, 2 to 3 years, however long it took me to get that completely operational where I can just check in on it once per week. What you don't want to do is be like 60% of wholesalers got knocked out in the last 18 months, 60%. Okay. There's a lot of those guys that were doing big numbers. Like, I was just on the phone with a guy last week. Him and his brother were doing over $250,000 per month at peak. I called him up the other day. I'm like, hey, bro, I noticed you haven't posted anything on InvestorLift for a while. He's like, oh, no, I'm out of that. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, my brother started buying multifamily deals, way overpaid on everything. They all went upside down. We lost our shirts on it. And I just said, I'm out. You try to dig this thing out of the dish if you can. I'm out. I'm going back to my 9 to 5. So that was a business that was doing $250,000 a month. Just like last time I saw him. Last time I saw him, he had $250,000 on the board. Now he's back to a 9 to 5. So just as fast as you build it up, you can blow it up. And I think that the guys that blow it up too much is they get too much shiny object syndrome, and they try to go too big too quick. They're wholesaling, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to do a multifamily 50 unit.
Right.
No. Baby steps. You got to build that wall one solid brick at a time. So I would wholesale. I would remove myself from the wholesaling business. Then I would take the cash flow from that. And then I personally would invest it in multifamily. I know you're really big in single family. I don't like single family as much because I like to do stuff really big, and I see more economies of scale on multifamily. I want to be able to buy 100 toilets and have them warehouse and have property management with like a whole bunch of units. But like, you need a lot of money to do that. So like, I would probably start, you can't go straight to a 50 unit or whatever. I I'd start out and like, you know, get a couple duplexes, then a couple triplexes and a couple quads, and like just slowly work my way up. And then eventually try to get to like stuff like this and own stuff like this building that we're in right now. That would be kind of my long-term goal. But if you look at the stats, like the IRS has published stats, like 98% of all millionaires made their money in real estate. Like this is the place to make money.
But it's interesting that you say that, right? Like you could take this building, it looks super sexy, it's a beautiful building. But I wonder what the cash on cash, I wonder what the yield is on this building.
Crush it.
But that's my point. So it's funny. I get told all the time from the, you know, my good buddy who owns a building company. He's like, you're doing it wrong. You know, you're just buying these single families. You need to buy apartments. If that was the case, just like those guys who were making $250 a month, I'd be bankrupt because I would have bought a 1031. I would have bought all these big apartments, and then it went down 50%. I'm slow and steady. I'm happy with my singles. What's your opinion on this?
A lot of people, they shy away from this building up a portfolio of single family because you're so spread out across town, right? There's a lot of drive time to go check on properties. You know, your handyman, he's got to be all over town. It's challenging to manage them when you're all over town. So that's why people shy away from it. What's your response to that? Why that doesn't affect you? Like,
well, I think I contradict that because I think I spend the money to make the money. If you're a slumlord and you're just putting Band-Aid on things, you're going to be constantly running around. You're going to have the busiest, we call like a correlation to an ER. You're constantly just trying to hold people and stabilize. I'm not about stabilizing. I'm about full resuscitation. I'm about longevity. So I spend the money today to mitigate those calls.
And the headaches.
And I have over just under 300 doors across, 100-mile radius. And I have one full-time handyman. Do the math.
Do it right up front.
Spend the money today.
My guys here, literally right here behind. Shout out to Luigi and Edgar.
Yeah.
These guys are on Zach's house right now because we know Zach's got the best product. And like, I mean, you look at his place, it looks like an HGTV house.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I wanted to mention on that is that whenever I was with Zach for like the year, right? That we were just
2 years.
It was like, it was 2 years. We were just going and running around. The one thing that's what made Zach different from everybody else I've ever worked with is he's very passionate about what he does. Like every single deal he remembers, every single person that he rents a house to or sells a house to, he remembers, and he has a meal with them, and he's super interactive, and it's hard to do that as a multifamily,
right?
And I think a lot of the passion just comes through it because I asked Zach many times, I'm like, when are you going to retire? Like, it seems like this is a lot, man. Like, you do this all by yourself. You get all the calls yourself. You're the one that like literally just puts everything yourself, and then you delegate the contractors, obviously, right? But a lot of it, I think, it has just like person to person, belly to belly. He always says he loves to interact with people.
Let's go back to your question. You say all these people, they're so fearful of, you got 300 people calling you. It's not the case. If you have a true relationship with them and you respect them and you take their calls and you explain to them, hey, sorry, this is an emergency. You have termites. We don't need to get there tomorrow.
There's mutual respect there.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to set the expectation. I'm going to let you know you're heard, you're seen. I'm going to take care of you, and they respect that. If it's an emergency, the leak, Zach, there's a pipe that burst underground. We're going to have
if it's not an emergency, they're not going to be bothering you.
You set the expectation. We take care of it.
Question for this. Luigi was out there with you 2 years filming you, running around with you, and he said, how you just bring this great energy to every interaction that you have. How do you keep your energy levels so high? Is it that you're just so passionate about what you do, or like what's the trick? Because
crack cocaine.
Because everybody wants to be that person that when you're around them, you don't want to be an energy sucker. You don't want to be an energy drainer. You want to be that guy that makes everybody feel great when they're around you. So how do you keep the energy levels so high and interact the way you do and make people feel great when they're with you, all the time? Like, do you ever get burnout and tired?
Absolutely, bro. I'm just coming off a cold because, we talk about, I do so many different things and I burn myself out sometimes by constantly trying to give. But at the end of the day, I don't let the negativity fully penetrate me, right? I set the tone of the day. I work out in the morning. If someone calls me and says, Zach, my AC blew up. I need an AC and there's a plumbing leak and all that stuff. Many people will just internalize that and let it penetrate you. And all of a sudden you got analysis paralysis and you can't move and you're fearful. It's like you own a crypto, it's going to go up and down. You're going to sell every time the stock goes down 10 or 15%. No, I'm playing the long game. I don't let that affect me. I focus on the big picture. In fact, I say, okay, it's an opportunity to enhance my property. I'm spending money today, but I'm going to recoup that because now I don't have to deal with that problem for 10 years. So if money can solve that issue, no big deal. I spend the money to invest in it. But again, it's keeping good energy, keeping perspective, and don't let those little things penetrate you, right? I'll deflect that negativity. I'm going to surround myself with guys like yourselves that are doing good things, that are positive people.
So it's about taking care of yourself, gym, whatnot, taking care of yourself, because you know,
gotta
your
take
health,
care of yourself. You gotta sleep. You gotta work
your
out.
self-care, like all that's most important, because you're not going to be able to show up as the best you if you don't check in with yourself first.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And then number two, it's perspective. There's going to be things thrown at you all the time. That's just life. So it's really about training your mind to have the proper outlook, proper perspective when you are throwing these curveballs.
Absolutely. Again, I'm playing the long game. I'm not going to let somebody derail my day because of, Zach, I'm suing you because your handyman didn't show up in 20 minutes.
This is why I can't do single family.
Right.
You can do single family because you're so good at like dealing with that. I'm not. I hate being on my phone. I have a reputation in this industry as being the worst responder probably of anyone. Part of it is because my phone number got out there and I probably get 500 texts a day. But like, as
a wholesaler, like I'm on the phone all the time, and
you're on the phone all the time.
I've found ways to get away from being the guy that's talking to the seller that's saying I'm going to sue you because of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Because I don't care either. Like I'm just like, you're not. So goodbye.
No, listen, but the difference is I care.
But no, like like with those issues, like I can't even. I have like there's so many when I'm dealing with like, so many transactions and all these deals, and like all the sellers that we're like not even under contract with yet, but they're reviewing the contract with their attorney, and there's this and that, and it's just like it gets super tiring dealing with all that stuff as a wholesaler. So I get you. You know, like I was the guy that was ready for every phone call, but you start to fizzle out on that. But with the business you're doing and the relationships you're doing, I mean, every call you have is like making jokes and having fun, like a lot of them. So you always, even a bad situation, I think you always turn it into like just a good thing. And you always get me with the sarcasm too.
Yeah.
You guys had that video that went super viral, and you're telling me you're going on Oprah Winfrey and all this. And
Which video was this? What was this?
We were on the car on the way to another property, and then you called Jacob, and you were like, "Yeah, Jacob, I'm going to Oprah Winfrey," and all of a sudden Jacob's like, "No way!"
No way. So you used to get me all the time, but now I only believe half of the stuff that you say.
No, listen. At the end of the day, you gotta have a good time, all right? Yeah. Like if we step back. So again, we take everything. The money is serious. Contracts are serious, negotiations are serious. But at the end of the day, you got to have a good time. People want to do business with people that are having fun. You want to be around people that are going to enhance your day or elevate or bring a light to your life. If you have that mentality, no matter what your business is, it's going to enhance your production. It's going to enhance your relationships. Like nobody wants to be around, what we perceive, I think, was your sister an accountant, I believe?
Yeah.
And there you go. Remember everything. So if you're just have that account mentality and just numbers, that's not really engaging. But if you slow it down, we laugh, we have a good time, people care about that, right? Yeah. Like I'm sincere when I say, and you've been around me, hey, when you invited me over for dinner, like my tenants, like, why would I invite you over for dinner? What do you mean? I'm going to bring the tequila. We're going to sit down. I truly want to get to know you. I want to know who you are. What's your story? How did you end up in my house? If you take the time to truly understand and consultatively understand your customers and your people,
now you're turn and burn with tenants. They want to stick around longer.
My retention is through the roof, and my referrals are through the roof. And what does that do? It saves me tons of money in terms of paying commissions and transitioning and all that. So again, it's playing the long game, spending the time. Now, I'm not on a rush on a phone. If you call me, I want to know how are you? What's happening? I'm not in any rush. If you're calling me, I want to know what's happening. I want to hear about your travels. I want to hear about your wholesaling deals. I want to hear about your sister. Where did your mom move to? What's happening? Luigi, what are you filming? What's the greatest thing going on? Ask the questions, and I'm always a sponge. I'm learning every day too. It's like I think I'm an expert at what I do in the single family space, but I can always learn, and I can always from everybody, from the tenants, from the wholesalers, from escrow officers. And I like to ask the questions.
I love that, and I think I want to just throw it back to the young people one more time, because like putting as much energy as you can into these interactions and into these relationships as you get started, it's so important, because that's how, like you said, like base hits, then they turn into X, Y, and Z and a great deal. Like if you are getting started and you can just try to pour all your energy into each thing you're doing in this business, like you don't know what that's going to turn into. And so I think trying to roll through this business like that and just through life like that is super key.
And I want to add one more thing. One thing that I think is just like overlooked. Every time that I went with Zach, everything that he did was 11 out of 10. Right? Yeah. He went above and beyond, and everything. One thing that stood out to me that nobody ever does, ever, is whenever somebody is going to become a tenant and they already have the cash and everything is already ready and good to go, Zach is like, what would you like to do with the backyard? what would you like to do with the kitchen? What like you tell me, and I'll design it for you. I'll design it around your guys' family. What do you have? A dog? You have this? You have that? And people would be like, wow, you really care. Of course, yeah, I would love this and that. And Zach puts it all together. And he doesn't even think twice about it, as long as it doesn't go over.
I mean,
a certain price.
We're doing that right now on your place, right?
Yeah,
he
is.
He's like, hey, what do you want to put in the backyard?
Totally.
Like, I'm leaving. You tell me what you want. Like,
also, when I knew it was, I mean, Luigi's like a brother to me, which you are, and I want to do it extra special. But I can do that for any of my tenants. I ask them, so do you have dogs? Do you need grass in the backyard?
Smart.
Do you want a specific? We're already painting. It's so easy to just change the color of the wall.
Yeah.
What color? You want an accent wall? You got a kids? You want a kids room for your daughter? What do you need? So if you just take that 11 out of 10, which is credit to your mentality, which I love, go 11 out. What are we doing this 10 out of 10 stuff? Elevate your game. Ask the questions. Add the value. It's
So
going
I'm
to take
curious,
you
when
the
you were
extra
younger
mile.
and you rented probably, did you ever have a really shitty landlord that you were like, I'm going to be the exact opposite of this guy and I'm going to...
It's so interesting the asset because I rented when I lived in Atlanta in an apartment complex and it was terrible and it was a joke and I didn't like, so sometimes you learn what to do by what they didn't do
Like,
for
I don't
you.
like a lot of the landlords I've had, and just how it is it's not great.
that's where you're curling up to.
There you go. Right. But let me tell you
And
this: when I rented in college, this was interesting, and I rented at an Indiana university, and we had 5 people in one house. House hacking. Nowadays, they got a business model. What do they call that thing now? Where they rent out the rooms.
Pad split
or something.
pad
Fine,
split.
not my business
something
model,
like
but
that.
all good. But what I did was I actually interned with the management company in real estate. I remember the guy, Rob. I'm like, I love what your family does. Like, you have all these houses around the community. At the time, I didn't know that was going to be my future because I immediately went to Wall Street to work on Wall Street. But it really kind of just resonated with me. Like, this is such a good business. You own a university. There's always going to be demand. You collected the rent. I like how he operated. He interfaced with the tenants, got the parents' co-signatures. So again, you learn from every situation. So I've had negative with the apartment complexes where there's no relationships. It's so impersonal. But I would tell anyone to bring the personal connections and don't make it impersonal. Make it personal all day long.
Smart. Hey, Luigi, how are we doing on content right now?
We're doing amazing. I wanted to do a quick segment on a deal or no deal kind of thing.
Deal or no deal? That could be fun.
That would be fun. See if it's a
Do
deal.
we have any
see if
water?
it's no
Why don't we
deal.
take a 5-minute break?
Yeah, let's do a 5-minute break and then
We'll be right back, guys.
Do you want to make more money?
I want money going back in the back like this.
Do you want to make more money? Do you have deals sitting in your pipeline that is just not moving? Maybe it's a crap deal. Maybe you are. Let's sell your deal live on Wednesday. Bring your deal. Click the link below and we will sell it live and show you that it's possible on InvestorLift even though you can't do it. We can do it. We can help you. Bring your deal. Click on the link. Let's sell that deal and make some money. Money! Money, money, money.
All right, and we're back. We just took a quick little break. This episode is sponsored by Stella Artois. If you guys want to get Stella Artois, it's a great beer. No, it's not actually. This episode, we're going to be doing something. By the way, guys, this is just the first episode that we're doing. This is going to become a whole show. It's going to evolve into its own thing. This is going to be the real estate show. And one of the things we're going to try out today is we're going to do a little deal or no deal. We're going to pick some wholesaler here in town, and we're going to look at some deals, and we're going to determine, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Is it a deal or is it not a deal? Okay.
There we go.
Let me record my screen. Okay, let's go. Screen record. All right, guys. So in this part of the show, we're going to do deal or no deal. We're going to pick a random deal on InvestorLift in this town. We're going to tell you, is it a deal or is it not a deal? You're going to hear how one of the top cash buyers in the entire country underwrites the deal and whether or not he would buy it. Maybe he might even buy some deals on this show.
Amazing.
Maybe that would be cool.
And
Just
I'm curious
call him up
from
on-
another wholesale perspective, did he wholesale it at the appropriate price or like what would you do differently?
What would you do differently? Is their posting done well? Did they market it well?
Right.
Do they answer their phone?
I love
It's a little bit late for doing calls, but guys, we're gonna make this into an entire show. It's gonna be insane. You know, everything we do, we go 11 out of 10. This is gonna go 11 out of 10. This is just the beginning. This is day one. And so for day one, Zach, you get to pick the first deal. Grab yourself a deal and let's see, is it a deal or not
Just
a deal?
any random one. Are you screen sharing right now?
I am recording.
Okay.
Pick a
Let's
random
find
deal.
something. You know me, I like the more inexpensive stuff. Let's find something.
We can do some price filters. You want some price
Oh yeah,
filters?
do a price. Find something under 350,000. That 338 was interesting. But let's go to under 350, 3-bed, 2-bath. Let's see what's out there. Oh, okay.
I'll move back.
Okay.
Okay, so.
But you know what I love about this is just the transparency, because this is real shit. And when somebody sends you a deal, time is so important. So it's like deal or no deal is actually really what we do. Is it a deal or it's not? Or in order to be a deal, where does it need to be to make it a deal?
100%. Okay, so we're doing up to 350.
Three bed, 2 bath.
3 beds.
In Maricopa County. Let's see what's out there. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Let's see what we got. These are ranked by hottest. So hottest means that these are the ones that have the most buyer interactions.
Interesting. Okay. So what makes me concerned is they haven't sold yet, right?
Well, it could have been posted an hour ago.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you never know. Do you want to see the newest?
Here. Yeah, let's go to that, because then we know it's hot. That to me is sexy, right? If I'm a buyer and I'm a buyer, I want to know something right when it hits the screen.
Well, because there's
fresh inventory. Let's see this
most
one.
important thing is there's a reason why it's not selling, right? Like that's the first thing.
Absolutely.
Why is it not moving?
If it's been posted for a day and it hasn't sold, I'm wondering what's going on.
Listed an hour ago. Let's do this one. Okay, we got new property in Sun City, Arizona.
No, Sun City well.
We got 60 photos. This is 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 1,574 square feet. Their approximate ARV is $365,000. They're asking $246,990. Lily is trying to sell this deal. And Zach, why don't you take a look?
Take a look. Sun City. I own a couple right now in Sun City as we speak. 1963. One thing I want to know in Sun City I lost it. Sorry. One thing I want to know in Sun City is the plumbing is critical out there. That could be an $8,000 to $10,000
Why is that?
issue. A lot of the plumbing out there is corroded and not good. So I want to know, when you're interfacing with the seller in Sun City, have they updated the plumbing at all? That's going to be number one. I can tell you right now, it needs a roof. I'm going to look at these pictures.
So that's like something that, like me as a wholesaler, if I was virtual wholesaling here, I would never know that.
You wouldn't know. So you got to know your market intimately. Like I could tell this roof is bowed. I know right away it needs a roof. It needs landscaping. Fascia's beat up. Looks like there may be some settlement cracking. No big deal. Nothing that I'm fearful of yet. But you could just tell this thing is ill-maintained. Old AC. But good pictures. I respect that. Weak curb appeal, laundry room, stackable. Full gut remodel. I like the fact that it's all original, or someone doesn't think that it's worth more because they had like some upgraded kitchen with shitty counters. It's just a full gut, which I like. But most older people in these areas, is it on the golf? Looks like it might be a golf course lot. Let's see. Looks like it is a golf course lot. That's not bad. Most people in this community, they want a covered parking. So you want a garage, a 1 or 2 car. This is a carport, so that's a ding. The transfer fee in Sun City is going to be $5,000 or $6,000. You got to factor that in the acquisition.
And I did see something posted about that on the deal description. So props to the wholesaler for putting that in the deal description.
Has
props to the
termites.
wholesaler for that.
And this is what I look like. Termites and rodents and yada, yada, yada. Okay, looks like that was all the pictures. And
Wow.
so they're asking 246. They show it as 365. I know that's a puff at 365.
What do you think that would go? You think 365 is high?
I think it's high. It's not showing. Let me see if it'll show the full address. I agree.
We can request it?
Yeah, view full address. Okay, 103rd Avenue. It's not in the best area of Sun City, but it is on the golf course, 1,500 square feet. It's probably a 330 house, just on my intuition from what I know of the area. And you're going to spend a solid $50,000 on this deal. So 246 plus closing costs plus the $6,000. I'm not even going to make 7% net on this deal. If I sell it at 330 minus cost 5% to resell, so I'm at 315. All in, I'm going to be at 305. I stand to make, if I bought this deal at this price, roughly $10,000, assuming everything goes good. And that doesn't factor in my cost of capital. So quick answer is it's priced too high. Okay.
Yeah, my opinion is priced too high. And, you know, it's super outdated. So it needs everything. But I think this wholesaler thinks it only needs 30.
What do you think it needs?
Right? This wholesaler would tell you it needs 30.
Okay, but they're wrong. So one thing people have to understand is with inflation, with everything else, my cost, and I have very good economies of scale and licensed contractors and doing it right, I'm going to spend $50,000 to $60,000 all day long, and there's some unknowns. I need to know about the plumbing ones. You got roof, you got AC, you got plumbing, you got full remodel.
Definitely needs
you got
a roof.
carrying costs.
All that.
You're spending 50 to 60 with my eyes closed. I mean, it's 1,500 square feet. Landscaping, that's some more money. Most people, they don't even factor 5 $5,000 or $10,000 for landscaping. That's insane to
They
me. If
need
you
the
want to
deal.
sell a property, and Sun City has a lot of inventory right now, you have to stand out and you have to underprice it a little bit in today's market to sell. So at the end of the day, for this deal to really sell, $215, maybe $220, but $215 to me is the real
I think
strike
they need
price
it-
on this.
Where
And
you
I would
at,
go
I bet. I bet the wholesaler has that deal probably at like what's it listed at 246.
246. You can
246.
buy it now for
So I
250.
bet they have it at. There's no way they have it lower than 230. I feel like, and they need it closer to 2 because
Why don't we call them?
because it's
We
a.
can call him. We can call
should
Lily. You
call
I
want to call
agree.
Lily?
It's got to be like a 330, maybe 350 because it's on the golf
It's 8
course.
o'clock.
No.
So-
Who would take the call?
Call
at 8
Lily.
o'clock?
You want to call Lily? Let's call Lily right now.
My phone's charging. Who's got a phone? Let's call.
I got a phone.
Jake's got a phone.
Let's see. Let's
What
give.
if she blocks you?
I'm not going to tell you what they
Lily's
have in
not
our
blocking
contract
me.
for, but
We're
I'm going to
good.
check.
Do you have their contracts in there? Sometimes?
Of course,
Oh, that's
but
so cool.
I can't say that
Right,
to a
of course.
buyer.
Of course.
But I'm curious. So
Right.
All
for
right.
my
let's call
eyes
Lily.
only, for my eyes only, and for the audience, if this person's cool with us disclosing it,
There you go.
we will take a look at to see if they have some room here.
There you go. But let's call her and see.
Let's call Lily. Okay.
Let me
so
know.
I'm not gonna say anything. I
Oh,
can't say
you can
anything.
see what they have it at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say anything.
Oh, that's so interesting. So they
But-
post
That's
their
awesome.
contracts.
That's
Okay.
that's
Call
that
Lily.
insider trading.
You're right. Call
This
Lily.
is something that, okay,
Okay,
call Lily.
here.
Okay.
Here, put her number in.
Here's the number. We can't read it on YouTube, otherwise they ban our videos.
Oh, there's Lily. Disposition.
All right, I'll give it to you, Zach. Here you go.
See, it's an out-of-state number. So let's see. She's familiar with Sun City.
Oh, she's probably a
A
VA.
virtual. Hey, Lily, this is Zach. I'm inquiring about your Sun City opportunity on the golf course. I think it's on 113th Avenue. If you can call me back, 103rd Avenue in Sun City, 11639. Seeing how we could work together. I buy a lot of Sun City stuff. Want to see if you got a little flexibility on price. I'd love to be your buyer, but I need it a little bit cheaper than you have it listed here. So let's see how we can put something together. At your convenience, call me back, 602 for faster service, 911. Thank you so much.
This poor VA is
my
going to be like, 911. What is your emergency? Okay, there are.
Obviously, we won't post my number on this thing. I'll get blown up.
Okay, so here's the thing. Now, that person is going to be a VA working overseas. You can tell, like,
Why would
it's
they not
definitely a VA.
accept a call? too? Like,
but
right-
the thing is, they're
They
going to
could
be
be at
sleeping
3
right
in the
now.
morning in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was weird how it goes straight to. As a wholesaler, don't have your thing go straight to "we're not accepting calls."
Yeah, you want to
Have it say something.
set up your goddamn
If you
voicemail.
want to sell, like if someone's calling on my listings and I list my,
Yeah.
I answer the caller. I text you back, hey, I'm at dinner. I want direct interaction. you got a hot buyer on the phone.
You know whose deal that is?
I already
Who?
know. Austin Zabax.
Austin
Because I
Zabac.
know Lily. See, I'm good like that. I know.
Yeah.
One
There you
roof
go.
real estate. I know.
Should we call Austin and buy his deal? The funny thing is, he's literally in the
Let's
building right
call
next
Brendan.
to us.
Let's call
We
Brendan.
should have him come over here. Dude, you're in the hot seat. You want to sell a deal?
Dude, bring him over here.
We should try to get him over here.
We should bring him over
Get
here.
him over here.
All right,
Let's
I'm gonna
underrate
call
his
him.
deal.
I like
Let's
those
buy a
guys.
deal
They're
from
nice
Austin.
guys.
Let's see.
Okay, what else? Let's go to the next
Should I
deal.
call him?
Call him over here. Let's see if we can
Okay.
do a deal.
Let's see.
But let's talk about this real fast, right? Dealer. This is really
Okay,
important. I
deal or
know
no
this
deal?
market intimately. I don't love that deal regardless, even at 215, 220. I think there's better opportunities where the liquidity on the deal in terms of resale is much better. Sun
Yeah.
City right now is not a hot market. You're
Not
dealing
hot.
with a limited marketplace. It's 55 plus and older, unless anyone can buy it unless you want to rent it out. You're much better buying off in Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria,
Yeah.
Surprise, El Mirage, Chandler, Mesa, in a more metro area where there's a bigger pool of buyers.
Yeah. So someone like you, it's probably not a deal for.
I
Even
need
if
to
you
buy
can
those
steal
deals
it.
deeper, and I buy Sun City plenty of times.
Yeah.
But I'm typically going to buy those deals at a lower basis to mitigate risk. I'm going to have a
Mm-hmm.
longer carrying cost. My success on flipping in those areas are not as good as a bigger area.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not as inclined to pay a higher price. And you should know that as a wholesaler, if you're targeting your market,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
find a market that's going to be more
Yeah.
liquid, more opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. For a tight deal like this, I would never bring it to someone like you. What I'd do is I'd try to find that, what I like to call the HGT buyer that does like 1 or 2 deals a
There you
year.
go. Absolutely.
And for them, if they can make 30 grand on a deal, they're like, yeah, woohoo.
Or what I would do, conversely, is I would find the top agent in that market, let them know I've got an equitable interest. What M buyers do you have? And I'm going to pay you a 5% commission.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the commission stuff tonight, by the way. But now is a great opportunity to really incentivize somebody to bring a buyer. You got margin on there. You really create a win-win. Incentivize an agent that's moving that business that's got a lot of traction to move that deal.
100%.
Know your exit. Know the market.
I would say my take on this, and let me know if you guys agree, is if the ARV was actually 365, it sounds like this is probably 330. If it was 365, it's a deal for someone. So I feel like maybe the mistake here is they're going too high on their ARV, right? We'd have to dive in and actually comp it out. We could do that. If you guys want to see us actually comp out deals, we can do that. We'll do that. Let us know in the comments below if you want us. But our gut feel is that this is 330. So they're a little bit high. So at this price, it might be a deal for someone. It's not going to be a deal for you, someone like you.
Right, but they also need to know what it would truly entail to stabilize that asset to get it to that number.
I think
100%.
I think they're missing on that. Yeah, because it's super outdated.
You're spending every bit of 50, 60,000 on that house.
And in Sun City, when they're like that, the way Sun City houses are, like, it's this whole like retro feel to them when they're outdated. So you can't save anything.
It's a full gut remodel.
It's tight. It's very tight. So possibly a deal for someone. Will it move? It might move, but it's tight. Okay. All right.
I flipped a deal in Sun City and got a free golf cart with it, and then I sold the golf cart for $5,000.
That's a good return.
All right, Zach, let's do another one.
Grab one. 1877, a 4.3. This is Mesa.
Why don't you like buying in Mesa?
Because most of my stuff is in the west side versus the east side. So we talk about economies of scale. I own some stuff out there, but it's not my bread and butter. Let me give a faster response. Let's go back to the...
So here on this one, you want to pick a different one? Let's pick a different one.
Yeah, that way I can give a faster response. Again, I stick to my area of expertise.
Let's go back to...
Give me something in Phoenix. North Phoenix, West Phoenix, anything. Okay.
Let's go to latest.
Do you want to talk to somebody on Zabak's team about that deal?
Dude, let's do it. Come on, let's do it for YouTube.
Sure.
Because he's saying he's about to go to sleep, but...
Who's he?
Zabak. I told him to come over here. Yeah, he said he's got to be up at 3:30 tomorrow, but
shit.
Don't know. Should I get Lily?
Yeah, we're going to pull her out of bed. We don't want to pull her out of bed.
8 o'clock? I don't understand.
No, she's in Philippines, though.
Okay,
no.
Should we get somebody from his team?
The real Lily lives here.
The real Lily lives here?
What street was it on?
103rd, bro.
Okay, 103rd.
Photographic memory over here.
It was
103rd deal. Sun City. Which rep? We'll get the rep on the phone.
Let's pull another deal. I like this.
It's Lily. Lily's the rep.
Here's Phoenix. Here we go. I'm pulling a deal. Okay. Here's a 2-car garage, 1990 build, 334, 450. Let's look at the address. I agree. Let's see this. 3-bed, 2-bath. Kind of my... Ooh, 910 East Monroe. Not a good area. I mean, not the best area. That's the problem. I like the year build. When you got bars on the garage, okay, it says something. If you got bars coming into the garage, you got a problem. Oh, this is the same thing. Guess what? Guess who's selling this deal? One roof.
There we go.
One roof.
Is that Zabak too?
Yeah,
sure is.
Zabak's
It's
one
so
roof. They're
fun.
moving a ton of stuff in town.
Good. They're leveraging your site. I love that.
Doing Keegley
Okay,
model.
this thing's completely dated. The area is not great. That's the problem. So again, based on area, you're going to pay more for a premium area and less for a less desirable. This thing could rent all day long for $2,300, $2,400. But at that basis, the rental yield's too low based on cost of capital. It would only work as a flip because you're not going to make any cash flow at that number. I like the surrounding stuff in a big backyard. There's some nice attributes about it, but the area is not desirable. I like the fact that it's brick construction in 1990. That's an anomaly. Good electrical, overall structurally sound, but this thing needs full surgery. And the house is only 1,366 square feet. It's not that big. I don't think the ARV is 450 on this because the area is weak. My gut, and I haven't looked, you can see me, I have nothing in my fingertips other than the address. I think this is a 410, maybe 400 house at best. And this house needs, again, 50, 60,000. It's all original. At least the curb appeal is decent.
Yeah.
Roof looks okay.
I was going to say
you need a garage, but you need
420.
a full remodel. You're spending every bit of $50,000, $55,000 on here. I would probably buy this house in the high twos. That's my
High twos. So
Yeah.
So we're not
definitively
that far. I mean,
not ideal.
Just
but listen, technically speaking, we're only 10% off the ask, right? Most people, they could be swinging for a triple or double. I don't care what they're swinging for. The reality is it's going to sell what someone's willing to pay for it. The area to me is not that desirable. I like the lot size is desirable. I like the year build is good. I like the fact there's a 2-car garage. There's a lot of great attributes, but I look at multiple aspects. What is the rental yield? It's going to be 5 or 6% in terms of gross cash flow, cash on cash. And return at that number, you're going to break even at that number. So they're just pricing these a little bit too high. We should watch and see if the same people are posting on there, see if what they truly trade for. I guarantee you they're about 10% high.
So this will be interesting. So you know what we'll do is next week, we'll call up Austin. In fact, maybe we'll have Austin come over here for the next episode because he's literally in the building right beside me.
See what these deals sell for.
And see what they're actually selling for.
And I would bet you.
I got the guy on the first deal. We can call him up, see if he answers on the first deal.
Let's give him a ring.
But my input on this deal is, I think it's inflated based on the area, the ARV. It's got to be like 420 max. And so then a tip for new wholesalers is if you don't even have 100,000 in spread on the deal, like it's not going to be a deal.
Depends on the price.
Depends on the price. But like to keep it simple, like if you're getting started and you don't know how to run your numbers well, make sure you have 100 grand spread between what you're locking it up at and what it's worth. If we're talking sub 500,000, then then you're going to be in a better area. All right, I'm going to try to call him.
All right, you wanna call?
Do you find this is interesting on InvestorLift? Do wholesalers have more success by underpricing, getting a bidding war, or overpricing? So that was my thing. Like I'm already deterred. There you go. I'm already deterred. Even when I list my properties for sale, I'm not swinging for the highest comp. If you underprice it, you're going to get activity and you get the desire. So I think that's the issue.
I think that's where the shooting this out in the foot on these ones is like just slightly too high.
There you go.
Shave it down a little bit.
We're talking 10%. We're not like 50% high.
No.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Put it on speaker. Speaker.
We caught him at a bad time.
Who said you caught him at a bad time?
His voicemail.
Who'd you call?
Wes from One Roof.
Did Wes set up his voicemail at least?
Wes set up his voicemail.
Okay.
Good job, Wes.
But if you want to sell a deal, it's 8 o'clock. You got to answer your phones. This is what I'm underwriting. When I get home at the end of the day, I'm looking at deals right now.
I live at his place on his couch for a month.
There you go.
Forget 8 o'clock though. If you're in the real estate business, number one rule is pick up your phone.
Answer your phone.
That's how you make money in this game. You got to answer the phone.
Now I'm looking at another opportunity because I got money to spend, right? It's monopoly money. My money doesn't make me money sitting sedentary. Now I'm looking to deploy it. If you're not answering your phone, I'm going on to the next deal.
Especially if you're doing direct to seller, you're doing direct to seller marketing and you're not answering your phone.
Answer your phone.
You're literally throwing away all your efforts, all your marketing. Here's the crazy thing is the guys will get it down on acquisitions, but then they just like dispose an afterthought. They don't do the same level of service on dispose they do on acquisition. On acquisition, I guarantee you if we call some of these guys on the acquisition side, they're going to have after hours answering services and everything. If buyers are calling in, same thing. You got to pick up the phone.
When I was buying direct back in the day, I could be making love and I tell the lady, "Excuse me, sweetheart, Zach speaking. How can I help you? What are you doing?" I said, "I'm buying deals. We're in the middle of making love. It's okay. I can come back to making love, but this opportunity is going to be gone. You're still going to be here for at least another few hours. You got
to pick up the phone.
Got to pick up the phone.
Got to pick up the phone.
Prioritize. I can multitask too. Come on, what do you got? Yeah, I'm interested. I could be there. Yeah, what time? You'll be there give me about 20 minutes. I'll be right there, baby. Come on.
ABC. Always be closing.
You don't miss.
I don't miss.
Oh my God. All right, guys, it's been a ton of fun. First episode of the 11 out of 10 podcast. Guys, thanks for coming and kicking it.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, thank you.
Let's go have some steaks across the street.
Let's go eat some food.
Appreciate it. Guys, if you found value, subscribe, smash the like button. It costs you absolutely nothing. This is just day one of the 11 out of 10 podcast. This is going to be the #1 podcast in all of real estate within the next year. I guarantee you it. And you will say that, hey, I was there on day one, listening on day one. So make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you in the next one.
If you're not buying, you're dying.
Amen.
There we go.
All right, let's kick it.